for the Greek character of strength, the crew of Atlas, 1990, parading on Veterans Boulevard. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Pavlovich, and we'll be bringing you the crew of Atlas Parade this year, talking about the lifestyles of the rich and famous, right here from Veterans Boulevard. It's not just me on the broadcast tonight. With us, we have State Representative Jim Donelon. Jim, what can we expect tonight?
Well, Bob, it's a beautiful night for a parade. As you can tell, I think the crowds will be thick, the parade will be beautiful, and a good time will be had by all here in Metairie.
We've already been talking to some of the people in the crowds. The lady that's going to do that tonight on the street for us is Gina Marie of Oldies 106.7. Gina, what did they tell you so far?
Well, we've been speaking to some people. It's their first Mardi Gras parade. Some people from Dallas, and some folks come in from Hammond every year to Jefferson Parish. So it's a great night for parade. The weather is perfect.
The lifestyles of the rich and famous is the theme of tonight's parade, and we'll get started with the crew of Atlas right after this message.
Having a happy Mardi Gras is easy. So is a safe one if you remember a few safety tips. Don't block fire hydrants or intersections, and don't park on neutral grounds. A new parish ordinance prohibits staking a claim on parish rights-of-way by roping off an area, erecting a tent, or by parking a pickup truck along the route. Stay behind those barricades and cables, too. Courtesy, care, and common sense can mean a happy and safe Mardi Gras for everyone. A message from the Jefferson Parish Carnival Coordinating Office, WCCL, and Cox Cable, Jefferson Parish.
Good evening, everyone. From Veterans Boulevard, I'm Bob Pavlovich. Along with me is Jim Donelon. And as you can see, the crew of Atlas, their 21st year of parading is rolling by. Jim, it's a brisk night tonight.
Sure is, but a beautiful night for a parade. Large crowd, lot of excitement. We're ready for it. Let's get started with Metairie Mardi Gras.
Let's do so. We look down on the street, and we see our first couple of units coming by. Coming by in front of us right now is going to be the Gretna Mounted Police Department.
Looking sharp indeed.
Something I always wanted to do, Jim, and that was I've never ridden a horse in my life except for the Shetland pony that my parents took a picture of me on.
I've done one or two rides, but nothing compared to riding one of these beautiful horses all the way through all these thousands, tens of thousands of people tonight.
Horses that are well taken care of, and their riders themselves look like they're having a great time.
Positively. It's going to be a beautiful parade. This is Atlas's 21st version, second oldest in Jefferson Parish.
We're looking at the El Gringo Riding Club. Tell us a little bit about them, Jim. I love the headpieces that they're wearing.
They're beautiful indeed. They're not quite the Mardi Gras Indians that we'll see on Mardi Gras Day, but they were formed in 1985 by Captain Carl Livermore. They have their riders dressed in Spanish costumes, and they won an award in Georgia for the 4th of July parade there this year.
So this is a well-traveled organization. We've been around not only Louisiana, but around the South.
Lots of lovely ladies in there.
Yeah. Here's my favorite. Well, almost my favorite. I'm a peanut favor right here. Oh, Gina's down there talking to the M&M man.
Bob, we're here with the M&M, the red M&M. We love M&M. He can speak, believe it or not. We're having a great time down here, Bob. The crowds are real full, and it's we're having a great time. Lots of throws, lots of doubloons, lots of beads, lots of cups being thrown. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Gina. As I was trying to say before, and I just couldn't get it out, my favorite are the peanut M&Ms, but if the choice is no M&Ms or regular M&Ms, I'll take them. 92 WCKW in their parade progress vehicle. Trying to look through the windshield and see if I recognized anyone. No, I can't quite see in there.
Some more of the El Gringo Riding Club, Bob, from St. Rose, Louisiana.
Another popular group.
Yeah. Quite a colorful ensemble.
Formed in 1985, as you said, by Captain Carl Livermore.
I wonder if that's Captain Livermore with a little horse-drawn or pony-drawn buggy there.
That's a good possibility.
Very colorful crew. Big Mexican sombreros and beautiful horses. Bet those horses appreciate this little nip in the air tonight.
Most assuredly, because as we all know from experiences in New Orleans with their horse-drawn carriages, and even though having these horses walk on the concrete and the asphalt, it does take its toll on them, and the coolness in the weather does give them a chance to perhaps not get as overheated as quickly.
Yes, positively.
Well, they've got things rolling again and moving on Veterans Boulevard. Looking at WRNO.
Some more, there's Mr. Costello himself throwing cups out of the side.
As we listen to the thump-thump of traditional Mardi Gras music. This year, as we mentioned before, they're throwing the regular beads and doubloons and trinkets that's associated with the Crew of Atlas. As I mentioned, they're also throwing bubble gum and Tootsie Rolls, which is great for us. I just wish they would throw a couple of throat mints. That would help us out a great deal. Gina, you got somebody in your hands this time?
That's right, Bob. We're talking to a fella here who's already caught a couple of cups, some beads. And what's your name?
I'm Mike Lindsay. I'm from the West Bank. Come over and marry, to party, and have fun at Mardi Gras.
Is that right?
And fight for these cups.
All right. You going to go into the city for Mardi Gras Day?
Either there or here, out here, whichever.
All right.
Wherever the party's at.
All right. Have a good time. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Gina. Of course, this year, Atlas is throwing frisbees, megaphones, squeeze bottles, visors, umbrellas, coasters, and more. And they're throwing doubloons of plain aluminum and gold anodized. Right now, passing in front of us is the 4th Marine Aircraft Wing Band.
Located right here in New Orleans and sounding great. Bob, the 4th Marine Corps Band is led by the First Lieutenant Amdahl. Our first float will be coming up shortly, and riding on it is the captain and president of the Crew of Atlas, Lou Hosh. And Lou puts everything he's got into his activities as the leader of this crew. This is his night.
He's been very busy. I know he's been very helpful to us at Cox Cable, answering all of our questions and giving us the information we need in order to do a good job on their parade. And this, I believe, is just a very easy and simple little hint of what we can expect to see from the costumes. Mr. Hosh and his black and white costume.
Really is quite impressive.
Absolutely fine job. The costumers this year are for the costumes Broadway bound. For the costumes and masquerade costumes for the court. And of course, as we mentioned, the float builder is Mr. Blaine Kern.
Captain Hosh is being toasted by the officials from the parish of Jefferson now, and has a few mementos for his wife Jackie, who is seated in the reviewing stand.
The captain will present his lovely wife, Jackie Hosh.
They're handing him his microphone right now in case he wants to say anything. He's reaching up there for those prized white pearl beads.
Now, Captain has a few words to say.
I want to thank the people for coming out on this night. The way it looked this morning was terrible, but I knew Henry and my prayers would be answered, and we would have a good night. And I want to like to thank all the people that are here tonight, and especially the family of the King and Queen, Jean, Pat, and my wife Jackie, and Marie, and Georgiana. Thank you.
That again, Louis Hosh of the Crew of Atlas. Just a note they have here in our bit of information. He is president of the Crew of Atlas. The organization doesn't have a captain per se, but is governed by a president and 12 board members.
That's correct. And as I said, Lou has been the Crew of Atlas for as long as I can remember. He personally takes responsibility for the parade, the supper dance, and everything in between.
And it's not a small organization either, over 250 members in the Crew of Atlas.
The captain, the power behind the throne, rides in the tradition of all Mardi Gras parades, high atop a glistening perch of floral sheeting and foil, in his dazzling costume. Thank you, Captain Lou. Have a wonderful ride.
The Crew of Atlas was founded in 1968, paraded the first year in 1969. It was founded by two area businessmen, and it's the first to roll in the Metairie 12-day carnival season. Bet you didn't know that. The carnival season officially in Metairie is 12 days, beginning with the second Friday before Fat Tuesday. And, of course, it concludes with Fat Tuesday itself. There's Mr. Lewis Tosh rolling by right now. Everyone calling him by name, whether they know him or not.
Happy Mardi Gras!
The Riverdale High School band's marching by right now in their fine red and white costumes.
The Scotch Guard plaid is traditional at Riverdale, going back to when it was an all-girls school, and their drill team is led by Roy Valenti, located, of course, here in East Jefferson on Jefferson Highway, right there on the banks of the muddy Mississippi.
And of course, following the band is the drill team, the Spirit Squad. The crew of Atlas has a number of firsts involved with it, including that they're the first ever to navigate, which is now the standard Veterans Boulevard route, which I told you about a short while ago. It eventually shared the route with a dozen other parading organizations. The Art Riders Brass Band marching by. They started from a battery-operated grocery cart pulled by hand through the streets of New Orleans in 1972, and now they've got their customized van.
And, of course, named after their leader, Art Rider. This route has worked real well, Bob. You alluded to it before, the Metairie Parade route, which all the parades now use. And I think the people have become acclimated to it. The parades have become acclimated to it. It's serving its purpose well.
Let's listen now. King Atlas,
Mr.
the
Bonanno,
21st.
who's representing the parish president again, to have a toast to the king.
King Atlas, on behalf of Parish President Michael Yenny, the Jefferson Parish Council, and the people of Jefferson Parish, I'd like to thank you for bringing this marvelous parade to the streets of Jefferson Parish and wish you a prosperous reign. Hail Atlas!
All right. King Hilaire Joseph Bordelon, Atlas the 21st.
Mr. Bordelon's a resident of Kenner, Louisiana. And he has a whole float full of pages.
We would also like to present you with this memento of our appreciation.
Pages are traditional in Mardi Gras festivities.
Well, after all, when you have all the pomp and pageantry of courts and kings and queens, you might as well have all the
Now a few words from our king.
Let's listen to Mr. Hilaire Joseph Bordelon.
As King Atlas, the 21st, and the crew of Atlas, we are proud to appreciate everything the Jefferson Parish Bishop did for us for this parade and allowed us parade in the streets. And we'd like to thank all the Jefferson Parish people and around people that parade in our parade, to enjoy our parade. And we'd like to thank, hope everybody have a happy and a good Mardi Gras. Now I have a few awards to make, presentations to make. First of all, to my lovely wife, but without her, well, it was no big surprise. She really helped me out, had a good time. My wife, Jean Bordelon.
King Bordelon introducing
And I'd like to
the real
thank my
queen.
mother-in-law, Lillian Lacombe, for backing me up. And not least of all, the captain of the crew, is Jackie Hosh, for the great help she's given me. And I'd like to say, quittez au bon temps, roulez, let's have a good time. It's Mardi Gras time.
As only Hilaire Bordelon could say it.
Again, King Atlas the 21st making his speeches before his subjects here along Veterans Boulevard on a brisk night. There was some questions, some doubt as to whether the skies would clear up enough and whether the rain would get past. And fortunately, it did earlier today, giving us at least some dry streets for King Atlas and his crew to parade on.
And I think the revelers would rather have things a bit on the nippy side than a tad on the hot side. It's more appropriate Mardi Gras weather, Bob.
Well, I'm one of those people that I always find it much easier to keep warm than it is to try to keep cool.
You're right.
So I could always put on another coat if it's a little too cool. If it's too warm, well, you got to find air conditioning because you're in South Louisiana.
That's correct. Go ahead.
King Bordelon, I was going to mention, continues to make his presentations. Just gave what looked to be almost 24 roses handed off the float, no doubt going to his wife there on the stands. We saw her just a few moments ago. And there we go. The King's starting to make his way off the reviewing stand now.
I might mention that he is served by a bevy of erstwhile pages: George L. Bell Jr., Brant P. Bosworth Jr., John L. Coyle Jr., and Stephen M. Benelli, the four pages to His Majesty. Hail Atlas!
And the pages are doing their best to get rid of all the throws they have on their floats.
Indeed they are.
And as we look down the street, Ed Martina, an Atlas officer.
Long-time officer, yeah. Ed is a fine gentleman and has been with the crew of Atlas, again, as long as I've known of their board of officers, which goes back 15-plus years.
Yeah, Mr. Martina there to the left of your picture.
Good shot of Ed.
He must have known we were looking.
Absolutely.
Must have known we were looking. Oh, just missed.
Coming behind. Go ahead.
I was just reaching out, and I just barely missed a bunch of those pearl beads. I guess I'm going to hear it from my wife. I didn't grab one of those.
Following closely behind Ed Martina is the Grace King Fighting Irish Marching Band. Band and drill team led by Charles Hellman. Of course, Grace King is located right here in Metairie on West Esplanade Avenue. And the East Bank Jefferson High School bands are rotated by the crew of Atlas to allow each school a turn as the lead band. We had Riverdale, of course, a few minutes ago, and now we have Grace King led by their Colleens.
Let's listen now and enjoy some of the music. Long ago when Grace King was known only by the Colleens, when it was the all-girls high school, and now it's a co-educational institution.
So the Fighting Irish, an easy transition. I see, in fact, walking with the proctors, Principal Al Montgomery, who does a fine job as principal of that fine high school, Grace King High School.
The crew of Atlas continues to wind its way down Veterans Boulevard, moving at a pretty good pace. Bob Pavlovich here, along with State Representative Jim Donelon. In the streets with us, we have Gina Marie, Oldies 106.7, and looking in front of us right now, James Balser, another Atlas officer, in a convertible headed our way.
And Jim's been an officer again for as long as I can remember. That goes back 15 years, and he's having a good time throwing left and right.
That seems to be the hallmark of many of the good carnival organizations, when they can maintain the consistency in their leadership and members' involvement, and still make the changes necessary to keep up with the times.
Positively. Jim Balser, followed closely by the East Jefferson High School Air Force Junior ROTC, led by Chief Master Sergeant Tony Acuri. Wow, we're getting avalanche of purple cups. from
We just
Crew of
violated one of my rules, Jim, and that's where both of us were looking down at once.
You're
We
correct.
should always have one of us looking
On
up.
guard.
I'll take my turn and look up now.
Okay. And I'll finish talking about this fine Air Force Junior ROTC outfit from East Jefferson High School, which for the past 2 years has won first place at team competition at the Gulf Coast Drill Competition. And tonight they're honored to be the Queen's escort for our parade, and following them into a view is our Queen for this year.
Queen Atlas, the 21st, Nicole Palestina.
Rodriguez, Melissa Ann Foster, Nicole Ann Myers, and Lisa Nicole Martina.
And those were the pages that were just introduced.
Queen Atlas, on behalf of Parish President Michael Yenny, the Jefferson Parish Council, and the people of Jefferson Parish, we'd like to thank you for bringing this beautiful parade to us tonight. We'd like to present you with this plaque as a memento of our appreciation.
A bunch of roses presented to Queen Atlas the 21st, Nicole Palestina. She's
At this
the
time,
wife.
our Queen would like to say a few words.
Let's
I would
listen.
just like to thank all the parish officers and everyone that allowed us to come out and have this wonderful parade. I hope everybody has a safe and happy carnival season. Thank you.
Thank you, Queen Nikki.
I was going to mention
At
she's
this
the wife
time,
of
the Queen
King
will
Atlas the
present
18th, Robert
beautiful arrangement
Palestina.
of roses to her mom.
And the Queen is presenting some roses to her mom. Her mom's name is Carol, and Carol and Jim Olson are the parents of this year's Queen.
If you're a watcher of the Mardi Gras parades here on Veterans Boulevard, as brought to you by Cox Cable and this year WCCL TV 49, you'll notice that in that last picture, the Queen reached out and touched her mom from the float itself. Last year, that wasn't possible. They had to have a ladder, and things had to be handed across a good distance. This year, the crews got together with Mr. Henry Trapani of the Parish Carnival Coordinating Office, and they came up with a design that actually helps move things along without any cumbersome ladders or actually at times dangerous things, so they can hand things back and forth. So another step in the progress of making Mardi Gras safer in Jefferson Parish, not only for the folks on board the floats, but for the folks along the parade route as well.
That's correct. And each year, Henry Trapani, Mr. Mardi Gras, makes some little adjustment or improvement, and I think Mardi Gras Metairie can stand tall with any of the Mardi Gras celebrations in this area.
As you may have heard when they first introduced Queen Atlas the 21st, there's no age and marriage status for the Queen or other members of the court, and some other organizations have such restrictions. Let's quickly mention the pages. They are Mrs. Tara Michelle Rodriguez, Melissa Ann Foster, Nicole Ann Myers, and Lisa Nicole Martina. Right behind the Queen's float, we have the Bonneville High School dance team.
That team, of course, is led by Karen Sabrier, and it usually marches with their band, but due to the new extracurricular grade requirements, the band leader has decided to parade only on non-school days. The dance team wanted to march, so Atlas allowed them to march as a separate unit. Of course, Friday evening, this is a school day as such, and the school board recently adopted a policy that says if you're not in good standing academically, you're not going to participate in extracurricular activities, and apparently the band leader decided that he was going to follow suit in that new emphasis, and therefore no marching of the band on school nights.
The theme of this year's Crew of Atlas Parade, lifestyles of the rich and famous. I don't know, I just felt like I had to say it that way.
He's been practicing all night, folks.
The theme float is where the officers are found. There's some additions to it this year, though. This year, the crew has included the past court in the parade. The officers are riding on the crew member floats. Coming up behind the theme float are the Jas Strutters. That's with 2 S's.
Indeed, they are. Led by Ann Schofield. Organized in 1985, their costume is a white long-sleeve turtleneck leotard with royal blue sequin skirts.
And I'm sure they're very thankful that they're turtlenecks on a night like tonight. Temperatures normally in the upper 50s, lower 60s, but with the wind chill that's blowing through here tonight, it's got to be a lot lower than that. The ladies that we're looking at right now are moving enough to keep themselves warm. Probably warming a few of the hearts along the parade route as well.
Keep themselves warm and keep themselves trim with all that strutting.
The parade seems to be stopped. Looking up Veterans Boulevard, I see there's a long lineup of parade floats. We're looking right now at the Mays float, float number 5 on our itinerary. This is Betty R. Miller.
One of the maids on the float, and the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Ritchie. She's a student at the University of Central Florida and graduated from Orlando Christian High School. She's joined by Mrs. Angel Giovingo, who is the daughter of Daniel, and Shirley Angeron, and graduated from Mount Carmel High School right here in New Orleans and is attending the University of New Orleans.
And, of course, the Jazz Strutters continue to move by. Bob Pavlovich here along with Representative Jim Donelon on Veterans Boulevard for the 1990 version of the Crew of Atlas, the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Gina Marie is down on the street right now, and I understand Gina has an interview with a very important person. Huh, Gina?
That's correct, Bob. We're down here on Veterans. We're with Queen Atlas's mother, Carol Olson. Ms. Olson, certainly you're very proud of your daughter. What do you think of all of this?
Oh, this is really exciting for us. We're from Houston.
From Houston.
And we've come in just for the parade. It's so exciting.
Have you been in for Mardi Gras before?
No, we haven't. This is all very new.
And I bet you'll be coming back.
Yes, ma'am, we will. And we're very proud of Nicole. Her husband is part of the Crew of Atlas.
Well, have a very good time and catch a lot of throws.
Thank you.
Back to you, Bob.
Thanks very much, Gina. And that's got to be a thrill for anybody. I know it's a thrill for Jeffersonians and New Orleanians, but to be from out of town and to have that opportunity.
I'll tell you, Bob, I saw a strong resemblance between that lady and her daughter. It was incredible.
That's true. That's true.
Next interview is one of the regulars of Metairie Mardi Gras, the Dance Connection dance team led by Robbie Gagnuchot. They were the first to have a music band following them around in the Metairie parades, and this is their 11th year with us here in Metairie.
Certainly trendsetters in that respect. Now, if you're a dance team and you don't have one of those bands following you, you're lost.
Positive.
Let's listen and enjoy a little of the Dance Connection. Robbie Gagnuchot ought to be proud of her kids in the Dance Connection putting on a fine performance for the Crew of Atlas.
They sure are.
Coming up, into view now, float number 6, more of the maids of the Crew of Atlas.
Two more of our maids. Miss Laurie Ann Myers is the daughter of Milton and Clovina Myers and a senior at St. Mary's Dominican High School here in New Orleans, and the Student Council Secretary.
She was Miss Jefferson Junior Miss for 1989.
And she is joined by Miss Melissa Marie Blum, who is the daughter of Joseph F. Blum and graduated from Ursuline Academy in Dallas, Texas, and is attending LSU and is a member of the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority.
I'm glad you know that, because I looked at it and I saw ZTA.
That's it.
That's right, you're an LSU booster, so...
Well, I'm a booster, yeah. Not a graduate, but a booster. But we had a Zeta Tau Alpha chapter at UNO when I was there, way back when it was still LSUNO. That's correct.
Coming up now, we see the Gold Dusters, and of course, their gold outfits. I'll watch out for you, Jim. That was a close one.
I had an eye on them.
And you almost had it out for him, too.
That's correct.
The Gold Dusters dance team. The Gold Dusters are led by Miss Deborah Softly. And as you look, the girls are dancing anything but softly on the streets of Veterans in Jefferson. The Gold Dusters are no stranger to the crew of Atlas on Veterans Highway. They've been with the crew for 8 years. From the looks of things, these ladies haven't been with them for 8 years.
That's correct. Tell you what, they're not cold.
I was going to say, it's a high-energy performance going on out there. Let's listen and enjoy a little. All right, the maids are moving by right now.
Following the Gold Dusters.
Myers.
Yes, Mrs. Blanche Myers, the daughter of Blanche Dunleavy and the late Eugene Swain, and a graduate of Grace King High School right here in Metairie. And she's joined by Mrs. Leslie R. Cantelli, a graduate of Mount Carmel Academy here in New Orleans. And they are followed by the Marching Dominican Debs, led by Carmen Godet, an award-winning dance team. They're dressed in their traditional black and white. Ms. Holly Schecksteiner is the captain of the Dominican Debs.
I don't know, to me the pom-poms just add something to this whole routine.
They sure do. They're traditional and impressive.
Once again, the Dominican Debs marching by. And not very far behind, we have float number 8 in tonight's crew of Atlas. Of course, the theme, the lifestyles of the rich and famous. And I won't say if they're rich, but they're definitely famous for tonight. The more of the maids of the crew of Atlas.
On float number 8, we have Miss Gina Marie Booty, the daughter of William and Bertha Booty, who's a senior at Mount Carmel Academy, and she's joined by Miss Danielle Jolene Pertwee, the daughter of Douglas and Linda Pertwee, and she is a senior at John Curtis High School right here in River Ridge in Jefferson Parish, where she's the senior class president.
That's what I've noticed. Quite a number of the maids are very heavily involved in their school activities, plus they find time for their schoolwork as well as taking part in the crew of Atlas.
Fine young ladies, indeed.
On the horizon, we hear the steady thump of yet another dance team coming our way.
The Midnight Stars, Bob, are led by Ms. Patricia Wilson. Midnight Stars.
I've noticed some of the ladies have epaulets. I guess you could say they've earned their spurs.
Have a little ring.
And speaking of spurs, earning her first pair tonight is Gina Marie, who's down on the street with another interview. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Bob. We're having a great time down here on Veterans, and I've been speaking with a lady from Kenner who tells me she comes to Mardi Gras parades every single year. What's your name?
My name is Bobby Hosclaw.
Bobby, what keeps you coming back to Mardi Gras parades?
I need to get some new plastic cups.
Plastic cups, I love it. So, is this your first parade of the season?
No, I was here Sunday with my grandchildren.
Did you get lots of cups on Sunday?
No, not too many. That's why we're back today.
Well, thanks for talking with us. Have a good time. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Gina. In fact, I was just sitting here looking at the crew of Atlas Cup. It's the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and I was just thinking, yeah, it's about time I replaced some of my china. And these cups will do just fine. The Hammond High School Band,
led by Ms. Joanne Weatherly. Of course, Hammond, Louisiana, right there in Tangible Hope Parish, between here and Baton Rouge, north of the lake, is the home of the Louisiana Special Olympics, leading the way with a Special Olympic float that they're in the process of developing and building.
Let's listen to some of their band. Playing a little of the Locomotion, the Hammond High School Band. Let's see. The Hammond High School Band rocks the house. That's what they're telling us on their vehicle. Our first float of the night, float number 9, visiting Tivoli Gardens.
And this is the float that contains all the athletes from the Louisiana Special Olympics Games. They represent Orleans, Jefferson, as well as the Florida parishes where Hammond is located. And the chaperones are members of the Special Olympics staff. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Gotcha. Thank you.
Keeping
Great.
an eye out for both of us. They're very generous with their throws. And when they have those double-decker floats like we saw, you got to watch both sides of them because
That's correct.
Because they'll get you up high, they'll get you down low. Coming into view right now, we see the Ponchatoula High School Band. We're right over at the same neck of the woods.
That's correct. Just a bit south and maybe a little bit east of Hammond. In the Tangipahoa Parish boundaries is Ponchatoula, led by Mr. Ted Forrest. Sparkling green costumes.
Let's listen and watch. Job by the Ponchatoula High School Band. Something I didn't mention when the Hotard bus came by. That bus is provided by the crew of Atlas to return the athletes to the parade start.
Great,
so
great.
that's a big help. I know that. I always wondered about that. I mean, you get to the start of the parade, you load up, you get to the end of the parade. How do you get back?
Well, the ones I've been in, we've had a school bus, not a big fancy Hotard bus like that was provided for those special athletes.
The children are out here in force tonight enjoying the parades, as you've just been noticing, and that's to me the part of Mardi Gras I remember, being able to be on somebody's arm, and when there's a lull in the parade, you just lean your head over and catch a few winks before the next float arrives. Speaking of floats,
the next float is float number 10, breaking the bank at Monte Carlo. Lieutenant Theo Gauthier.
Atlas this year has made new signs to go on the tractors. They're emblazoned with the crew emblem.
And throw me something, mister, is what everybody's hollering.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thanks. Getting pelted by throws. Headed right now our way, the Jesuit High School Marine Corps ROTC Band,
which I am an alumnus of.
How about those Blue Jays?
Yes, sir.
Here comes the band now. Let's listen to the Marine hymn. Behind them, their Rifle Corps,
which I was a member of, and it looks like they're still carrying the same rifles we carried 28 years ago, Bob.
Well, they work then. I'm sure they work now.
Called M1.
Is it true? Do they really loosen up some of the things on there when they clack them down? They make a little more noise?
Yes, they do.
That's always been so impressive. The Motion Dance Team.
And their Scotch-style skirts, like Riverdale had, and red and white trim.
The directors are Ms. Debbie Granier and Ms. Mickey Boriza. Should be pretty easy to match, red, white, and plaid.
Correct.
Let's add that it is indeed an award-winning Motion Dance Team performing for us right now.
Following closely behind the promotion dance team, will be our next float. Float number 11, entitled A Sultan Palace. Not quite coming into view yet, but there they are. Lieutenant and Officer Richie Garcio riding on the float, as is Officer Claude Hotzel.
I don't know. I have to wonder about this Sultan. He certainly has a variety of ladies in his life. And of course, the men on board are enjoying themselves.
Sure seem to be. Float number 11, Sultan Palace.
That's the thing I've noticed so far. They've been, the gentlemen on this float are wearing half masks.
Right, interesting.
I guess it's perhaps a little takeoff on the Phantom. I don't know though. Bunny Adams, Jefferson Parish Grandmother of the Year.
Could have fooled me.
No.
For 1989-90.
They're certainly making them young these days.
Says here that she's our first Grandmother of the Year, and a lovely grandmother indeed.
Throwing roses to all of her friends and the spectators along the parade route, and the Bunny Adams dance team follows the Grandmother of the Year, Miss Bunny Adams, and she looks like she could get out there with them and go with them step for step.
Guaranteed.
Handheld cameraman tonight, Brian McCann, doing a fine job.
And picking up as they roll into view, Popeye's boat, his record-breaking, award-winning, nationally acclaimed 30-foot light catamaran with two 1,000 horsepower engines.
Don't give Al any ideas. Don't give Al any ideas.
There's the Chicken King himself.
Yeah, right there on our picture screen right is Mr. Al Copeland himself. And Jim, watch out. I think we're going to have problems here. Oh, goodness.
My God.
Heads up. How many cups can you throw at once? Well, the folks from Popeye certainly let us know how many they could. Hands full, or is it handfuls? We'll decide that in a few minutes. The Albany High School band sent it our way right now.
Albany, Louisiana.
They're still trying to reach us. So they're like half a block down from us. The Albany High School band is led by Mr. Arthur L. Perkins, with their flag and flag corps, and now their band marching into view. That's an instrument I always wanted to learn how to play. Let's find out who's on the streets with Oldies 106.7's Gina Marie.
Well, Bob, we're speaking with a gentleman here from New York, Mr. Bill Scott, and I understand this is his very first Mardi Gras parade. What do you think of all this?
I think the parade is very refreshing, very exciting, very colorful, and fantastic.
All right, are you going to be here on Mardi Gras Day?
Hopefully.
You going to come back again next year if you get the chance? Okay, thanks for talking with us. Have a good time.
A Caribbean holiday's moving by. Thank you, Gina. Float number 12 as we continue our trek in the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Just a quick note, the gentleman Gina just spoke with is the U.S. Marshal that I mentioned at the very beginning of the parade, who's been recognized for outstanding service.
We are being...
they're pointing at us, Jim.
Targeted. Wow, got him.
That means they're getting ready to unload. Thank you very much. Just got a nice couple of strands of the pearls. And here come a couple more. Thank you all very much. Float number 12, a Caribbean holiday. I'd rather be boating, Cy. Mom, it's me again. The Dance Company Limited.
From right here in Metairie.
Getting ready to perform for us. In fact, they're underway already. Tell us about them, Jim.
By Kathy Litchfield and instructor Sean McCann. This is their first Mardi Gras parade. Glad to have the Dance Company join us.
Well, let's give them a real good watch here. Let's see. This is their first Mardi Gras parade. They've got to impress a few people. Let's see. Well, they've passed the first test. They're all in step. That's the Dance Company Limited. I think they did very well for themselves.
Positively. Next in the view is the John Curtis High School Band from right here in East Jefferson, River Ridge. Band leader Michael Thunberg. Of course, Curtis is located right over on Jefferson Highway in River Ridge, here in East Jefferson. And they're all decked out in their red, white, and blue, those colors that never run.
Of course, the Patriot, John Curtis Patriots. I've got to admire the trumpeter.
Absolutely.
Taking what is a difficult progression there and handling it quite well. And following the John Curtis Patriot Band is the Spirit Team, looking quite warm.
Quite a few students out here tonight from John Curtis, between the Pom-Pom Girls and the Spirit Team and the marching band. Quite a contingent of their student body present. Coming into view next is our next float, float number 13, the French Riviera, led by Lieutenant Floyd Bergeron Jr. and officers Joe Mamahat and Delbert Friedrichs.
I'd like to extend a personal thanks to one of the officers, Joseph Mamahat. He was very helpful with me getting things together for the production of this parade, the television production of it. And I'd like to thank Joe for all of his assistance, and Lou Hosh as well. The Crew of Atlas, 1990, parading down Veterans Boulevard. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are bringing it to you. I'm Bob Pavlovich, along with State Representative Jim Donnellan, and floats number 14,
a visit to a dude ranch, led by Lieutenant James R. Bell, coming past and throwing with both arms. Throw me something, mister. All right.
Right now, passing in front of us is the Brother Martin High School Band, the Satyrs.
That's correct, led by Marty Hurley.
Congratulations to Brother Martin on a fine effort in football this year, going all the way to the state championship.
Indeed, they did.
Fine precision organization. Our next float, yachting in the Bahamas. Not a bad idea.
Led by Lieutenant William Murray, Jr. and officers Danny Murray and Robert Gunn.
Let's look at this picture and think warm. Think warm.
Big float, big float. Beautiful float, too. Yachting in the Bahamas.
They, too, are loosening up their arms. I don't know, one day I'm going to impress upon these people that when they're only about 15 feet away, they don't have to throw overhand.
That's correct.
A nice little soft underhand lob would work out just fine.
And following float number 15 into our camera view is the Mandeville High School Band from just the other side of the Causeway.
Talking about bridging the gap from the North Shore to the South Shore. They're represented here in the Crew of Atlas.
Led by Mr. Douglas Bergeron, the Mandeville High School Blue and White Band.
Certainly enough breeze out here tonight to keep their flags full.
That's for sure.
Let's listen a little as we enjoy the Mandeville High School Band. They're just marching into view now in their royal blue interviews. In the background as they play, let's listen to Gina Marie, who's talking on the street. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Bob. I've got another parade goer here from Dallas, and this fellow tells me this is his second year coming to Mardi Gras. What's your name?
Doug Stilling.
Doug, I understand you've bought some things already tonight. What have you got?
I got a bunch of cups stuck down my shirt. I got some balloons, all kinds of stuff.
What do you do with all of this stuff once you get home?
I give it out to my friends. I keep a little bit for myself so I can keep and remember Mardi Gras with.
Great. Well, thanks for talking to us. You have a good time. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Gina. And that's something I know a lot of folks do, and that's to hold on to a lot of their throws. I have a sister who's out in California now, and every year she asks me to send her a bunch of stuff because my niece gives it away to her school friends, and on show and tell, she's got it made.
Well, I have a daughter that's in college at Philadelphia, and she asked us to send her a king cake, gumbo mix, and some throws. She's going to have a little Mardi Gras party in her dormitory.
Sailing down the Nile is sailing down Veterans Boulevard right now is a couple of raindrops I'm starting to feel. Let's see, just about 10 more minutes, Mr. Showers. Just about 10 more minutes.
Sailing down the Nile is led by Lieutenant and Officer Farrell Tappy and Officer Edward Patois. A couple of the veterans of the Crew of Atlas, and big float indeed. King Tut adorned on the front. At least the death mask of King Tut, which visited our city a number of years ago.
Careful now, Jim. They're loosening up on it.
Oh, right you are.
Yeah, I like the people on this float. They get your attention first and then throw to you. Correction, they generally get your attention and then throw to you.
Dangerous indeed, Bob. And coming behind the float number 16 is the St. Paul High School Band, led by Robert Elliott. And again, this group, the Marching Wolves, is from Covington, Louisiana, just on the other side of the Causeway from where we sit here in Metairie tonight.
From St. Paul's Christian Brothers School over on the North Shore.
That's correct. Just a little shower, just a little something to remind us of how lucky we are tonight. That's all. It's going to blow right over, and
it'll hold off just a little while longer. There's just a little bit more for this parade to go. Of course, we're at the corner of Veterans and Causeway at the main reviewing stand. From here, it goes down Veterans to Bonneville, makes the turn down Bonneville, and then heads down to Martin Berman, where it disbands.
I'd say we're about halfway, so I hope these folks have another hour and a half of relatively dry weather for their march.
This is the St. Paul High School Band. Now, those are some different uniforms.
They are indeed.
There are some happy folks with the Crew of Atlas. Float number 17, a Roman holiday in our Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous theme for the Crew of Atlas this year.
Led by Lieutenant and Officer Rudolph Munster Rifle III and Officer Rudolph Munster Rifle Jr.
Better you than I on those names, Jim.
A large and double-deck float carrying many maskers, and they're throwing with both hands, so be alive, Bob.
Oh, I'm getting things out of the way here, Jim, so I can be prepared with both hands.
And I recognize one of the maskers, even behind his mask, as he stands on the front row, a graduate classmate of mine from high school and a practitioner here in Jefferson Parish, Lennon Butch Parent. All right, Butch.